Birds. Mark, go ahead.
Yo, what's up, Darius? Congrats on the draft today. I wanted to start with asking you about Layla. I think Layla captured a lot of people's attention this year, over in France. What maybe stood out most to you about her and made you guys feel so comfortable about taking her? And also as a follow-up, are you expecting her to come over this year, or is that maybe a future thing?
Hey, Mark, thanks for asking. Yeah, the first question is the answer to your second question, actually, we don't expect her to come over this year. We know she's preparing and preparing for the Olympics, and so she won't come over this year. We've been in contact with her agents throughout the season, just checking on her. We felt like she was the second best guard in the draft. Just what she can do, her ability to play both positions, to score at three levels, and just defend. Like, she's a two-way player. So we were really excited to have the opportunity to draft her. She was our number one target, and we're happy that she was there when we picked at 10.
Thank you, Mark. Lois, go ahead.
Hi, can you please talk about picking Abby Shu from Columbia in the third round? Not often we see Ivy League players selected, and a couple of players out of Princeton, but this is the first Columbia player ever to be drafted. So your thoughts on Abby?
Well, we've followed Abby all year long. We feel like, she's a really good shooter. She's also a very good rebounder from that position. We know that she has a high ceiling and potential to grow into even a better player and not just be a shooter. So we were excited, like her size, like her ability to score off the bounce as well. She worked on that a lot this season. So we've been following her for a while, but we really think she has a lot of potential. So we were excited for her to still be sitting there in the third round.
Can you just offer some overall thoughts about the draft? It's been such a highly touted draft, and people have been speaking about it so much, and we saw a lot of talent. Some people who were at the draft not even going into the third round. So just your overall thoughts on this year's draft class.
You went out a little bit, so you're asking my overall thoughts on the draft class?
Just your overall thoughts on this year's draft class. We've obviously talked about it so much, and it's deep talent. Some people who were at the draft didn't go to the third round. Just your overall thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a pretty deep draft class. Obviously, every team is in different situations as to what they needed and what they had room for. But the first 7, I think, went how people expected them to go, and then after that, it was really, just what teams, had the appetite for, what they were looking for, what positions they needed to fill. I mean, I think there were some surprises in there, but ultimately, most of the people that we thought would be drafted were drafted. So I thought it was a deep class. I felt like teams were able to, just add players that could help them. Like for us, adding Tiana Jackson, a rim protector, somebody 6'6", and has a lot of potential, has a high ceiling. And then Helena Puello, who I think may have been a steal of the draft, just with the ability she has. She's a pro. She moves the ball well. She's got good size. She makes good decisions. She can shoot threes. She didn't have a high usage rate for Arizona, but we felt like she was a prospect that could be a better pro than college player.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We'll go Noah and then Mark.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Besides for the on-court talent of these 4 players, is there anything culturally that you all are looking for? Just making sure that players have a certain character or certain cultural factors that you think would make them a good fit for the Connecticut Sun?
Absolutely. Obviously we're a team that cares a lot about culture, and we want people that are good people first. And I think when we interviewed each one of those players, we felt really good about just their competitiveness, their professionalism, their work ethic, and them fitting into our culture, adding to our culture, not just fitting in, but adding. And I think we got that in all 4 players.
Thank you.
Mark, go ahead.
Just 2 quick questions as a follow-up, especially, talking about like having a player like Layla who's going to be overseas. How do you guys work on building a relationship and kind of keeping tabs and keeping in contact with someone when, they're not going to be over and using your facilities?
Yeah, man, it starts just developing a relationship, so communicating with our staff. I think obviously we'll figure out some times to go over to see her. I'll actually be at the Olympics in Paris, and so we'll have opportunities to connect with her and keep tabs on her and making sure that when the time is right, she's ready to come over.
Definitely. And then, as another one alongside with on Helena, obviously like Arizona shortened their rotation this year, like midway through, and it felt like her offensive game really took off.
Mhm.
How influential was that in the way that you guys viewed her as a draft prospect?
When we dived into the numbers and we're looking at people at her position, we just felt like, when they needed timely buckets or somebody to make a play, that was her. And again, with her size and her versatility, she's a really good defender, underrated defender. And just the way, like the style of play in Connecticut, we needed people that were good at making reads and moving the ball. She's a ball mover. She makes good decisions. And like I said, she's somebody that I think is ready for this level.
Awesome. Appreciate your time, Darius.
Vicky?
Hi, Darius. I was wondering, with regard to Layla, where did you first see her play? And what exactly does she bring that you're so impressed with?
Well, my wife is a college coach, and so, obviously, they come back and talk about the international players they've seen. And we've watched a lot of film on her, and I watched her in Spain this past summer in the 19 and under World Championship. So I got to see her, front and center. And like I said, she's kind of been on the radar for a while. And again, playing the 1 and the 2 at 5'11", she has great size. She has great athleticism. She can finish at the rim. She's already playing against pros in a very good, tough French league. And, like I said, she can score at all 3 levels. So I think she'll be ready for the WNBA when she comes over.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Vicky. Eric, go ahead.
Darius, can you talk about the balance of drafting a player who will help you in the future, but not necessarily in the present?
Yeah, I think when you look at our roster, we have a very veteran laden team, and we have a lot of players that have a lot of experience in the W. So anybody coming in probably at 10 this year would either probably not play or have a hard time making our team. So to be able to, draft a player that could really help our team in the future made more sense for us. And so again, when you look at our roster, we kind of have 10 for sure locked in, and 11 players under contract. And so it's going to be a lot of people, fighting for a spot on our roster. It's going to be a very competitive training camp. And like I said, I think we got the perfect situation to be able to draft her. She was number 1 on our draft board. So drafting Layla and being able to, let her develop at her pace was something that was really good for our organization.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Darius. We'll bring Stephanie in next.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Stephanie will be in shortly. All right, hi everyone, we have head coach Stephanie White. Just raise your hand if you have any questions for Steph. Mark, go ahead.
Hey, Stephanie. First off, congrats on the draft class you guys just brought in. I wanted to ask firstly about Helena Puello. the way that she came on late in the season, especially as Arizona shortened their roster, I was wondering how much of an impact that was for you guys in the way that you evaluated her and saw her game translating.
I think more than anything, just looking at not just what you can see with the naked eye, but looking at her analytics. I mean, she's a player who makes winning plays. I mean, her assist to turnover ratio is great. Her assist percentage is great, and with a low usage rate. So, I think from our perspective, looking for someone who in our system can be a ball mover on the offensive end of the floor and who can make plays on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, she's a player who is a high level on the defensive end. Obviously, she's terrific at getting steals, which is one of the things that we do as a strength of our team. So I think she fits from those two standpoints in particular.
Thank you, Mark. Emily, go ahead. Emily, can we? Oh no, I don't think we can hear you. We'll go to Eric and then Emily.
Hi, Coach. I was wondering if you could tell just about how you balance in a draft, picking someone that not necessarily can help you this year, but can help you in the future. And as a coach, obviously you want someone to help you right away, but how do you balance that as an organization and as a coach?
That's the toughest part, really is, we have a veteran group. We need players who can come in and if their number's called, they're ready to go, but at the same time are willing to understand and that it's about development. It's about continuing to work every day. It's about being impactful, being able to be impactful in a small amount of minutes when you get the opportunity. And certainly we've seen, as well as many teams throughout the course of this league, that at any moment, something can happen and they have to be ready to play. So I think for us, it was positional. So who can impact us at positions where we may need some help in some areas that we struggled last year? Who's impactful in terms of being ball mover on offense, and impactful on the defensive end of the floor, but also who has a high ceiling that can get reps every single day, that has a lot of room for growth and for development.
Thank you.
Eric. Emily. Oh no, I don't think we can hear you. You want to shoot me an email with your question? We'll go to Mark in the meantime.
As a follow-up on Layla, I think, anybody who's watched her play, she's a really exciting player, has a lot of swagger. What was like maybe the first game you saw from her, and first moment where you're like, yeah, this is somebody that could really be impactful for us?
Well, Breon January brought her up to our attention first, just, having been a part of some French teams and had seen her a lot. Darius had seen her at various international tournaments. And so, just being able to put some clips together, and to see her intensity level, her ability to get to the floor, to the rim, her length, her athleticism, and her skill set. I mean, she's incredibly polished, probably ready to play right away. So from that standpoint, anytime you're looking at bringing in players internationally that may not participate at certain points in throughout their career because of international obligations, we felt like she was the most pro ready, that she had skill sets that we may not have had, or that, we lost. And I think about Tip Hayes and having somebody that can get downhill, having somebody that can get to the free throw line, having someone that can affect defensively with length and with skill and with athleticism. So, all of those things, as well as being a high IQ player, was really important. And we felt like, she fit us in Connecticut and she fit our personnel.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph.
Any other questions for Steph? Noah, go ahead.
Just in general now, post draft, as you look ahead towards the season, what are you most excited about with this current group that you think you can accomplish?
I think the most exciting thing is just building off of a foundation that we laid last year. I mean, we're at our basic level of execution on both ends of the floor. And everything was new, everything was an adjustment. So for us to be able to build on that, whether it's the actions that we use on the offensive end of the floor, the reads that we have on the offensive end of the floor, defensively being able to take things away instead of guarding things, continuing to challenge our group, to take another step in a positive direction and be disruptive in our own way. I think that's the most exciting thing. As a staff, we're sitting here and we're talking about all of these things that we can do with our personnel that are outside the box. They're a little bit innovative, and continuing to just build off of a first layer that we were able to lay last year.
Thank you, Noah. Any other questions? All right, thanks, Steph.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Hi, Caroline. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Take care.